all rise. I am President Barbara Sexton Smith, and welcome to the July 30th, 2026 Rotary Club of Louisville weekly meeting at the fabulous historic University of Louisville. And I am the interim Chief Executive Officer of the Bella Louisville Riverboats. The mayor calls me Admiral Captain BSS. Barbara will be just fine. So now's the time that all together in unison, we turn off all of our noisemakers. No hats, no horns, no phones, no watches. That's why I had to get to lean to take that alarm clock because I turned it on accidentally. And we also take our low-tech communication devices. Those would be our beautiful mouths. And we'll keep those quiet whilst we're at our tables so we can show love and respect to those that join me on the microphone. So now, providing our invocation today is going to be one of the best darn presidents this club has ever had, Walt Kuno. And during his year as president, he had this club's very best vice president. That is on a quiz later. And then Walt co-chairs our Youth and Education Committee along with Rick Harnan. And he's chair of the Rotary Honor Scholars and West End School Subcommittees. And Walt was a 2017-2018 Rotarian of the Year and a Paul Harris +5. Walt?
Gracious and loving God, we know that the gift of education is one gift that can never be taken away. We gather with grateful hearts for that gift. For a teacher who awakened curiosity, for students who dare to learn, for families and communities that encourage growth, and for every person who believes that knowledge can open the doors of hope. Bless our schools, our libraries, our mentors, and all who help young minds discover their purpose. May learning never be only for personal success, but for wisdom, compassion, and service of others. Guide us as Rotarians and friends of Rotary to live in the spirit of the service above self. Teach us to use our talents, time, and resources to lift others, strengthen communities, and build peace. Let education be a bridge across differences, a light in place of uncertainty, and a promise that every child, that every learner matters. May we serve with humility, lead with integrity, and work together for a world where opportunity is shared and dignity is honored. Today, we especially lift up the Kentucky Department of Education. We pray for its leaders, staff, educators, administrators, and all who serve students and families. Guide them with clarity, patience, and fairness as they make decisions that shape learning, opportunity, and the future of our children. Strengthen teachers in their daily work, protect students in their growth, and help every school become a place of safety, encouragement, excellence, and belonging. Amen.
Thank you so much, Walt. And now, joining me at the podium is Erica Fields, who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Rotary four-way test. Erica is president of Fields Consulting LLC, Paul Harris Society member, major donor, and a former Rotary Club president in another city. Erica?
Thank you, Barbara. President Barbara. So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the four-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, Erica, thank you so much. All right, so now, Rotarians, everybody can have a seat, please. Fellow Rotarians, if you have a guest with you today, please make your way to the microphone over here to your right and line up. And remember, introduce yourself first by giving your name, not your whole bio, and then introduce your guest and give their name, their organization, and their title. The object of this time, what happened to silencing all those devices? We have so much chatter There's E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, whispers, everyone listens. All right, Marie, it's up to you.
Good afternoon, President Barbara, fellow Rotarians. I am Marie Word, and my guest today is Tony Hill. He is a sales manager with the Whiskey Roll Hotels, including the Still. Good afternoon, President Barbara, fellow Rotarians. I am Gina Marie Johnson, and my guest is Courtney Parker.
I'm Barry Allen. I have two guests today. First, Dr. Shannon Moody is the Executive Director of Kentucky Youth Advocates. And Sam Corbett, who is the Executive Director of the Kentucky Exposition Foundation, but also served 8 years on the Jefferson County Board of Education and was Executive Director of the Jefferson County Public School Foundation.
I'm Clayton Rogers with Central Bank Trust. My guest today is Lydia Kraft, who is 7th generation with one of the longest standing businesses in Louisville, the Nans and Kraft Foods.
Oh, hello, President Barber and two guests, Lydia Conrad, who is a science teacher and counselor at Landmark Christian Academy. And I have Shanda Fowler, who is the manager of the education program at SOS.
President Barber, I'm Rick Harnick, and my guest today is Michaela Stevens, a senior at the University of Louisville studying biology and environmental science. She's interested in applying for one of our district's global grant scholarships next year.
Madam President, I'm Ryan Warren. I have guest David Cook. He's the lead strategist for education ecosystems. But he is better known for his 25 plus years at the Kentucky Department of Education, leading learning innovation.
Well, welcome to all of our guests. We are very happy that you're here. We hope that you will come back and visit. And at the very end of this formal meeting, after I ring the bell, message to all of our guests. Please join Robert Chatham. Everybody say hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Robert Chatham is a former club president, former member of this club, has returned and is now serving as co-chair of our membership committee. Robert will go through a rousing Rotary, what is Rotary, in about 5 to 7 minutes over there. And Craig Sherman, Craig, stand up, sporting a fabulous striped jacket, ladies and gentlemen. Craig is one of our longest serving Rotarians, and he is at What is Rotary table today because something about he thinks he's training Robert. Robert, roll with it, buddy, okay? All right, thank you. What is Rotary? All right, now each week we like to recognize Rotarians who have joined our club or rejoined our club at any time in the last 12 months. Because we still consider you new. And we have these beautiful new member ribbons that we put on the name tags. So stand up if you joined our club at any time in the last 12 months. That's it. Give a round of applause. Now those of you that were seated, you noticed who stood up. Make sure you get to know them, talk with them, and invite them to join one of the committees that you like, that you belonged to a long time ago, or you belong to now. Ask them what committees they're on. Ask them what service projects they've been doing, and if they've been to any events. Because the whole idea this year is to create lasting impact through connections with each other, connections with our club, and connections with the service work that we do as Rotarians. All right, so now it is time to recognize the birthdays. Here we go. And you know what? I am going to request in future meetings that when I'm going through the roster here, unless you all tell me not to, we can have some soft birthday music playing in the background. Unless Clayton Rogers wants to lead. Now, Clayton, let me tell you something, buddy. If you go back years ago, we got Rotarians in this room that are gonna go, Barbara, we're gonna cut you a year short if you start that birthday singing business again. But just for fun, here we go. Happy birthday this week to Cynthia Collier, Alan Parnell, that's Mr. P, Gary Dryden, our club treasurer, Maria Smith, Catherine Thompson, Alan Singleton, Paul Bickle, Tony Newberry, Carl Thomas, Robert Connolly, that's Bob Connolly, Griffin Meredith, Matthew Ayers, Paula Harshaw, Elizabeth Martin. Now, you see these names up here, y'all? If you don't see them here today, send them a message. Call them, text them, and say, where were you? We threw the biggest birthday party, and we celebrated you at the University of Louisville. Let them figure out what in the world you're talking about. And I am writing handwritten birthday cards to all these folks. I mailed them, and when your birthday rolls around, I'm gonna send you a birthday card, and I want you to show up at the meeting during the week of your birthday, because if you don't, I will embarrass you like I did Tyler Allen. Tyler, where are you? Tyler, stand up, please. Okay, so now, on the count of three, it was July 23rd, and I made a huge deal about your birthday, and you weren't in the room. So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Okay, all right.
I appreciate your card.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Okay, now I'm gonna invite to join me at the podium one of our Rotary rock stars, I'm telling you. Dr. Linda Bartram-Moore. Dr. Bartram-Moore is a chemistry instructor at Oldham County High School. She's chair of the Interact Committee, vice chair of our Rotaract and Rotary Honor Scholars Committee. She's a Paul Harris Fellow +3, and Dr. Linda Bartram-Moore moved here, I believe, from California a number of years ago when we were meeting at Saber House. And I'll always remember the first day I met you, and what a shining light you have been with our club. Are you going to introduce our speaker for today? Thank you. Dr. Linda Bartram-Moore.
So good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and honored guests. There could not be a better venue than Rotary for our speaker, Dr. Robbie Fletcher. Consider that our four-way test asks us to consider whether our actions will build goodwill and be beneficial to all concerned. Public education, at its very best, accomplishes exactly that. Furthermore, Rotary's guiding principle is service above self. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming a man whose entire professional life has embodied that ideal. Through 3 decades of service to Kentucky's children, teachers, and communities, Dr. Robbie Fletcher has demonstrated that leadership is not about titles. It is about investing in others and helping them reach their fullest potential. Dr. Fletcher assumed the office of Kentucky Commissioner of Education on July 1, 2024, bringing with him 30 years of experience as a classroom teacher, principal, superintendent, and educational leader. Very importantly, his journey began as a mathematics and science teacher, where he discovered firsthand that education changes lives, one student at a time. A native of Martin County, Kentucky, Dr. Fletcher earned his Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, Master's degree in Education from the University of Kentucky, Doctor of Education and Superintendent certification from Moorhead State University, and his career has been marked by excellence, including recognition as Bourbon County Teacher of the Year, Walmart Regional Teacher of the Year for Central Kentucky, and Kentucky Principal of the Year. During his decade as superintendent of Lawrence County Schools, he expanded opportunities for students through innovative career pathways, dual credit programs, and partnerships that prepared young people for both college and the workforce. Today as commissioner, he continues to champion academic excellence through relationships with educators, businesses, and communities across our Commonwealth. Rotarians believe that when we educate a child or we mentor a young person, we are making an investment in a future for all. Dr. Fletcher has dedicated his career to exactly that mission. Dr. Fletcher, thank you for reminding us that the greatest investment any society can make is in its children. Your leadership is shaping not only today's classrooms, but tomorrow's citizens. We are honored to welcome you, so please join me in extending a warm Rotary welcome to a husband and father of 3, a distinguished educator, an exceptional servant leader, and Kentucky's Commissioner of Education, Dr. Robbie Fletcher.
Okay, I think. First of all, thank you so much for those kind words. Almost left me speechless at times, because you think about your path and who helped you to get there, how did you get there. I'm going to give you a little bit about my journey before I get started here. If you were to look up the war on poverty and also type in the word Fletcher to Google, the very first picture that you'll find is President Johnson on the porch of my cousin, Tom Fletcher. That happened in the 1960s in Martin County, ironically on the border between Lawrence County and Martin County. I was superintendent in Martin County, and I did a lot of my educational career at home in Martin County. So to know what poverty looks like, I do. I know that education is the best medicine, the best pathway for a student, not to rise above the raisin, but to be able to come back and contribute to their community, to help others around them. So I'd like to think that somewhere along the way I've touched lives to help them understand the importance of an education, but also the importance of giving back. Now, my title for today is more than a test, more than a test score, more than a color. But I want to give you a little bit more about my path, if you wouldn't mind. If I can take this off, I'll do better when I walk around a little bit. So, I was a math teacher, taught AP Calculus. One of my greatest trophies, I told Dr. Bartram earlier, was that the fact that in my 4 years in Bergen County as a calculus teacher, I went from having about 10 students to my last year of having 50 students in AP Calculus with a 75% pass rate. The pass rate wasn't my trophy. The pass rate was the smell of my classroom as it went forward. In my second year, I started noticing my classroom had a different smell. I was in a mobile unit because there's a lot of construction going on. And I noticed around the room, I was like, I was talking to the gym, my room smells. I was like, what's the issue? Well, the next day I noticed the boots of the farm hands that were in my AP Calculus class. I would often talk with students about, you may not want to be a math teacher, but what kind of gateway would AP Calculus open for you? So my greatest trophy, no matter what title I've gone through, other than my role in my church and my faith, being a father and others, but my greatest trophy in my career, in my opinion, are those boots and what was on those boots. So about my journey from a math teacher to being able to move home to Martin County. My middle school that I graduated from was a persistently low achieving school. I had been in persistently low achieving schools my entire career and was a part of a turnaround process to get those test scores where they needed to be. I was hired at Warfield Middle to turn around the school, to make sure that their test scores were where they needed to be, and I did it. With an excellent team around me, 4 years at Warfield Middle, number 7 from the bottom in the state in test scores, and by the end, we were one of the high flyers. At least we had a great growth, and we were no longer a persistent low achieving school. I made sure students got that extra reading and mathematics that they needed. I made sure that they sometimes missed their music class, their art class, because they needed remediation. I was hired to change the test score. And that's what I was going to do. Because again, I build relationships with kids. I would go into their PE classes. I would go into class. I would teach. I would talk with kids. As a matter of fact, I was related to a lot of them. Fun fact, my mother is from a family of 22. I joke with my wife, she's the only person I could marry from Martin County. Please don't tell her I said that. I will have to deny that. And my father's out of a family of 11. I have 31 aunts and uncles, and that doesn't include the ones that have married in multiple times. I've been in family reunions, over 200 people there. It's huge. But also too, after doing that and having that accomplishment, having a great team around me, the support and the work that we did to make sure those test scores got better, I was hired at the high school that Warfield Middle fed into. The goal, a bottom 10 school, turn it around. And we did. Made sure the team around us, we made sure that students were getting exactly what they needed in math and reading. We want to make sure you get this test score. We want to meet the goal. We do not want, my goal my entire life was to get the state out. Ironically, kind of odd that I'm commissioner now. So, all throughout my high school, as a principal of the high school I graduated from, now mind you, some of these people even diapered me, so going and say, you got to give me your lesson plan, was a little different. But we turned it around. We got the test scores where they needed to be. So guess what? The next county over said, Dr. Fletcher, we need our school system turned around. We want you to apply to be superintendent. The high school was a PLA school. David knows this story. In those first 2 years, we did the same game plan. We made sure that students were meeting the test score. We made sure that they met the goal. In my second year, Lawrence County High School met all their state scores, met all the state goals. We were no longer persistently low achieving. We put banners up and down Bulldog Lane. We celebrated. Every single school in the county had a big banner on the side of it. Proficient school, high achieving, high performing, high growth. And about the second or third day, I had a person that come in, it was my chief academic officer. She said, Dr. Fletcher, this is great. I mean, she was in tears on day one, but by day 3, she had another look on her face. She said, are we relevant? I said, you're fired. But you talk about bursting your bubble. You know, my entire career was about turning schools around, getting the right test score, and getting the school where they needed to be. To have someone to come in and say, Dr. Fletcher, are we relevant? Like, absolutely, we're relevant. We're meeting the test score. Ironically, a young man by the name of Colin Ross, within the next week, came into my office. And he said, I'm a senior. I knew him well, knew his family. He said, I'm going to drop out. You know what he said to me? Your school's not relevant for me. I said, I'm sorry, Colin, you're a great young man. You never get in trouble. I mean, you're not going to get a 34 on your ACT. But I didn't get a 34 on my ACT either. My wife did. But I married well. I married up, by the way. Family physician. But anyway, I said, why do you want to leave? You don't cause any problems. You're on the football team. People would genuinely like being around you. He said, but you know what? I can leave tomorrow, go to a training on welding, and get in a training on carpentry and construction, and I'll make more money than you will by this time next year. So you know what? You're right. So at that point, we changed our focus. We wanted to personalize learning. The test scores were important, and ironically, the test scores continue to increase. But we didn't focus so much on remediation as we did enrichment, and also getting the student on the right pathway. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, we want you to have the absolute highest ACT score to get you the best scholarship into the best schools. We want you to have dual credit opportunities that relate to your pathway. Where do you want to go? But if you want to be a welder, we're going to set up a partnership with the Career Technical College to make sure that you have that opportunity. If you want to be a carpenter, we want to make sure you have that opportunity. So when I say more than a test score, it's at that point that I looked around and said, you know what? We want to make sure that our students have the math background, the English background, the science background that they need to be able to achieve at the level they need to be. But we also want to give them opportunities that are relevant and joyful for what's to come. So when I ask this question to you, more than a test score, our students, if I could ask you a question, and you don't have to raise your hand, if I ask the question, I do this a lot with teachers, with principals, how many of you truly believe that students are more than a test score? Now let me also put this into a perspective for many of you in the room. You're also employers, right? What do you look for when you hire an employee? Is the first thing on your application, what was your Kentucky Summative Assessment test score? Were you proficient? Probably not. You're probably trying to find out, is this student a good communicator? Are they a critical thinker? Are they a problem solver? Are they a collaborator? Can they work well with others? So when you think about how to measure a school district, should it be more than just the color of the school? Do you also ask your applicants, where did you attend? Because I guarantee that many of you could say, you know, I know that they went through this program with this person. They're going to be pretty quality people if they work with this person here. I know what their experience is. So it's almost as much, if not more, about the experience they had, and as much as it is the qualities that they have, so they know whether or not they're going to be successful in your businesses. Now, as a former Rotarian and Paul Harris Fellow, 10-year Rotarian in Louisa, a little bit smaller, and a Paul Harris Fellow, I connected a lot with the people in our community. So what do you expect of our kids? When they walk across Lawrence County High School's stage at the end, and I give them a Lawrence County High School diploma, what does that mean to you? Does it mean they finished with 22, 26 credits? Or did they have an experience that really prepared them for what you need? I want to give you just a few items here of what's going on across our Commonwealth. I want to brag a little bit about Jefferson County Schools for just a second. Their journey to success and the portrait to learn work that they're doing, there are so much when it comes to the opportunities that students have here in Louisville, in Jefferson County, when it comes to dual credit, AP courses, advanced coursework, but also through the partnerships with like UPS. The partnerships they have with businesses to get kids internships. The defenses of learning. How many of you have seen a defense of learning? Can I have a show of hands? At grades 5, 8, and 12, students pick up passion projects and they go in and they present to business leaders across the community to say, this is what I'm learning and this is why. I'm going to defend my learning. Now imagine seeing how do you measure the growth of that student from 5th, 8th, and 12th grade. They also have milestone projects. This is not only going on in Jefferson County, this is going on in Shelby County, Fleming County, throughout the Commonwealth. And a lot of times when these students are doing their defenses of learning in the 12th grade and there's business leaders in the room, they're getting offered jobs. You want to talk about a relevant experience for that kid? You mean I can go essentially do an interview with what I'm doing in my class with a local business leader? They can give me input. They can change my mode of thinking. Of course, I need to have the math, the reading scores that are necessary. But I want to demonstrate to them, you know what? I can fit in your business by being a problem solver, a critical thinker. That's different. That's different than the high school I attended. Don't get me wrong, I got a great education. I took all kinds of AP courses, even in the mountains, in Martin County. But here's some other things that, as you go around, I want to talk a little bit about Madisonville, North Hopkins, and Hopkins County. They do what's called the Freight Box Challenge. Their ag class, their carpentry class, their math classes, they actually entered into a grant through Harbor Freight, so there's a partnership there, where one of the, those 40-foot long freight boxes, they took one of those And in the very beginning, they wrote Bible verses on the inside. I got to write a Bible verse in one, Revelation 21:4, if you want to look that up. One of my favorites. But they write Bible verses, then they reframe the inside of that freight box, and it became a medical office. Do you know where that medical office is now? Thank you. Liberia, Africa. It is the only medical office in that Civil War torn community. And it was built by a group of students in Kentucky, in Madisonville, North Hopkins. Talk about relevant. Talk about a global thinker. What type of experience is that? They took the mathematics and applied it. One of my favorite stories, Barron County. Barron County had a student, kindergarten student that came in, I think it was 4 years ago, it was either 4 or 5 years ago. He was a kindergarten kid, wore a rubber glove every day. And soon one of the teachers noticed that he didn't have a hand. So he thought about this kid, this guy, they had 3D printers in the building. So he started connecting with other teachers, with other companies, with robotics companies. And guess what they 3D printed for that kid? A hand. A working hand that has a little computer. The kid pulls his wrist one way, and the hand closes. Pushes his wrist the other, it opens up. He looks like Iron Man. He's the coolest kid in the building. But you know what's even better? That kid is now in a 3D printing class in 4th grade. And he's learning how to print his own hand. Could you imagine being in a class as a student to say, you know what, I had some input on helping my fellow student? Relevant. Joyful. Is that a classroom that you can't wait to be in every single day? Madisonville, North Hopkins. I'll give you some other examples. And again, I could go on and on and on. Again, I put, as far as the profile of learner work and the journey to success, that's the kind of learning that's happening in Jefferson County and a lot of our schools. We have some work to do in Jefferson County. We have a lot of work to do. But there's a lot of things to celebrate too. Go to Beechwood. Beechwood actually has they do like a Shark Tank system. And I'm going to give you 2 examples. In their middle school, there's a lineman, Ted Karras, at the Cincinnati Bengals, if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I think he's the center. He's an all-star center, all-pro center. He has charity foundations that he works through to raise money for different charities throughout. In fact, I think he was the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award winner last year for Cincinnati, for the Bengals. But he essentially raises money and gives it to a charity that he's interested in. But he does this through, I think it's called the City Hat Challenge. So he went to Beechwood, and their middle school students got into teams of 4 to design a hat that Lyman Karras would sell for charity. But you know what else the kids had? They had to present not only their hat design, they also had to pick a charity of their choice and defend why they wanted the money to go to that charity. Groups of 4 students worked together as a team to collaborate, to communicate, and then they presented to the superintendent. They presented to other teachers in the building to say, this is the hat design, and this is the reason why it reflects the city of Cincinnati. But they also had to present, this is the charity that I think that deserves the proceeds for that. They went through a Shark Tank process, and then the school system selected 4 groups that, based on a rubric, and then the lineman and his team came in to listen to the 4 presentations, and they selected the winner. And so, can you imagine the confidence of those students now? You have to learn about, well, what's the cost of the hat? What's the cost of production? You have to also learn about design. Which of these designs mean most about our city? But also, too, why this charity? Talk about the empathy that maybe some of these kids have learned. And then to get to present it to a Cincinnati Bengals lineman and to his company. Another very similar system, they had this throughout. Another one was, and I forgive me for this, I forget the name of there's a a haunted ship attraction in Cincinnati. And forgive me, I can't remember, like the USS Shipwreck or whatever it is. But the fourth grade classes did a similar Shark Tank type activity where they designed a character with a backstory of why were they on that ship and when it sank and now haunted that ship. So they went through and presented their backstory and everything, and then eventually it went to the owner of the attraction and their marketing team, and they had to present that to the team, and then that marketing executive and their team picked which character that they wanted to include in the attraction. Fast forward, those students also got to see the actor that dressed as their character and the makeup that went on, and actually got to tour the ship to see where their character was a part of the entire program. Talk about exciting. I wouldn't want to miss a day of school. I'll share one more, I'll share two more. Very quickly, Elizabethtown. Elizabethtown has Freeman Lake. The tourism group came to their engineering class, and we have issues with litter on our lake. We want you to design a lake Roomba to clean the litter off the lake, take it to a certain area, that way it can be taken to a landfill. The engineering class, we have groups that are coming to their school to ask them to solve problems. I think the group launches the Lake Roomba either into this next month or in September, and think about the robotics. Think about the programming. Think about the GPS systems. Everything that they had to do to solve a problem that impacted their community. And from the mountains, there are several school systems that started. They started with Kentucky Valley Education Cooperative and the Race to the Top grant. They do what's called Tiny House Program. And many, I think there's a couple of schools here that do the Tiny House Program too. But it started with a group of schools in Eastern Kentucky, whereas they essentially got a $10,000 grant. They got a trailer that you pull behind your truck. I'm sure everybody in the room has a pickup truck, right? I do. It's out there sitting. Can't get the mountains out for you, I'm sorry. But your engineering class designs the tiny house. Your carpentry class builds the tiny house. Your electricity class wires the tiny house. Your art class paints the tiny house. Your business class manages the budget for the tiny house. Then it goes to auction. You sell the tiny house and put that money back into the school. So next year you build bigger and better. To see how these tiny houses have grown with solar panels, with how they put storage and see the ingenuity and the problem solving. If you were a student in one of those schools and you were part of that tiny house project, I would want to get out of bed every single day because it's relevant, it's joyful. And it's what we call vibrant learning. I hope you've heard this term. Learning that matters to students. In partnerships with families and communities, students are agents of their own learning, engaged in relevant, authentic, and joyful learning. We wanted to honor students' cultural wealth, their gifts, their interests. But we also want it to be application of what you're learning. It's okay if you should learn a high level of mathematics, a high level in when it comes to reading. But if you can't apply that, what good is it? So that's our goal in Kentucky. How do we incorporate vibrant learning experiences so that when I give you a map like this, and believe me, there's a lot more of this going on throughout the Commonwealth, but wouldn't you love to see dots that build that up, that I could tell that type of story in every single school in our Commonwealth? That's the goal. Now, I will say, we recently had House Bill 257 to pass in our state legislature. And we started out with this, and this work went on for a long time in our innovation network, which David Cook was a big part of. But we went through 9 town halls. I was at 9 different locations throughout the Commonwealth to ask people, are students more than a test score? Is your school more than a color? If so, how do we demonstrate that? How do we hold ourselves accountable to our local community? While test scores and state ratings are fun to look at, and I think they're important, I tell you what's a higher level of accountability is when you have to look at the people in your hometown and say, you expected us to achieve this goal. How do we accomplish this together? For example, how are we serving the businesses in our communities to make sure we're turning out? If you're an agricultural community, how are we turning out scientists that are going to help you either with drones or going to help you with the chemistry of the fields? What are we doing to help you to be able to grow? And more, in my opinion, which is very important, how do we help our students come back home? We want you to see these are the opportunities you have at home. We do that through project-based learning that impacts the local community. Some people will call it problem-based learning too. But if you look at this, we went through an advocacy phase. You can see each step of the way. But our goal with our accountability model was to, in order to build a prosperous Kentucky, we will launch an accountability system that is meaningful and useful to all learners. Ms. Stevens, we talked a little bit about her goals. I hope that she had a journey through our schools here in Louisville to get her where she is now, to have those dreams to be able to travel abroad. Did your school, please say yes. Did your school equip you for that?
Yes, I definitely believe they equipped me for that. I think they installed values
Okay.
that were definitely that I was able to build on at a college level. That would be applicable to a later career.
Absolutely. And if every single student that walks across our stage to get the diploma can say that, at the very minimum, can say that, we're going to be successful. But how do you develop an accountability model that reflects that? House Bill 257 gives us some opportunity. You can already do a lot of these things, but just to kind of give you a little bit of background, I know that 1 o'clock is the magic hour. All right, thank you. I've got 6 minutes. The new accountability model basically has 2 parts. One is the state accountability indicators that essentially these are how districts get their color ratings. This is the formula, if you will. This part is the formula where the ranking system comes in. Who are the bottom 5%? Who are the blue schools? Who are the green schools, the yellow schools, things of that nature. But there's also now defined in statute local accountability. Now there are some changes to the state accountability system that when we talk about the part that measures and ranks students, we've actually taken out editing mechanics, on-demand writing. When I say we've lessened the amount of testing from the state level. But we also require that each district have a writing program that emphasizes writing across the curriculum, not in isolation. So for example, we have I'll mention Scott County for example. You know, high schools in Kentucky have a lot of flexibility, and I wish we'd use this flexibility more when it comes to our graduation requirements. We have a teacher that teaches senior English, and there are some students that do Beowulf, English literature. But you know what? There's also some students that are in the biomed pathway that spend a lot of their time reading about patients and predicting what type of illness that they have. Reading labs, writing labs in a scientific setting, and now that's their English 12 class. The same teacher also teaches in the law and justice pathway to allow students to read about court cases, do interpretations, make predictions. And that's those students' senior English class. This is in pockets. This is what's going on. But when it comes to the state accountability piece, there are some things that are being added in, like chronic absenteeism. 35 states have chronic absenteeism as part of their accountability model. The individual student growth. One of the things I felt so passionate about, and I still do, one of the best measures of a school success is where did you get this child and where did you take this child? How much did that child grow? Not necessarily how did you compare to your 4th grade scores from this year to last year. We now have a system that will be put in place that will ask you, when that student walked into the classroom, what level were they on in reading and mathematics? And where did you take them by the end? And then a school gets credit for that growth. Not only the final score, if they're proficient or distinguished. But let me ask you this. If you have a teacher that took a third grade student that was distinguished low, and they wound up being apprentice high, essentially 4 levels increase. But if we have another teacher that had a proficient high student, and the student finished the year at proficient high again, there's a year of growth in there when you go from proficient high, because they attain the grade level content. So I'm not saying there's not any growth at all. There is growth. There's a year of growth there. But think about the teacher that took that novice low student and took them all the way from novice low, novice high, apprentice low, all the way up to apprentice high. Schools need to be recognized for that growth. That's now then the new accountability system. And again, that will go into the measures that do the federal guidelines, that formula, if you will, to put it all together. These parts are in the formula now. Chronic absenteeism, individual student growth. There's also math and reading, and also science and social studies are also part, but these are the new items that are put in. But again, that's not the most exciting part to me. Oh, I'm sorry. These are all the parts that move together. I just mentioned that a little bit earlier. English language learner progress is another part too. Do you know that over 140 languages are spoken in Jefferson County Public Schools? A colleague of mine said they walked into a kindergarten class with 23 students in 23 different languages the other day. Oh my. Oh my. But English language learner progress is a part of the accountability model. Post-secondary readiness, graduation rate. But to me, this is the most important part, local accountability. How do we get the community input into what do you expect of my high school, of our high school, when they walk across? Do you expect them to achieve at this level? And every single school system I've seen that has local accountability has student achievement, number 1. So don't think we're running away from math and reading scores. That's not the case. It's usually the foundation of every local accountability model. But also we have districts saying, what about student well-being? What percentage of our students are involved outside the 4 walls of the classroom? Are they involved in football, basketball, baseball, band, JROTC? Are they in a drama production, an art exhibition? They want every single student to have some type of experience that's outside the 4 walls of their classroom, and they're putting that in their local accountability. In other words, we want to capture a broader picture. Test scores are important. Please don't walk out here thinking that the commissioner says that test scores are not important. They are. We have to know at the state level, who do we help? We know that people need extra help. We want to make sure that students are getting the foundational skills that they need. But we need a broader picture to really determine if a school is successful. Again, you still have the state accountability measures that meet federal requirements. But also, too, a part that's separate from that, we're asking districts to develop in collaboration with their community members. And right now, I think we have 11 districts doing this. And we have 34 getting on board with it. It's not required in statute, it's just encouraged. And there's actually a $15,000 cost offset. But what do you measure? How do you measure? How do you show growth? Not only in reading and mathematics, but how do you show growth in a student as a communicator, as a collaborator, as a problem solver, as a critical thinker? And we want students to realize, to look in the mirror and say, this is how I've grown. These are the qualities that I have that will make me successful. And I can walk out these doors and know that I will be successful because my high school prepared me for a 4-year college, a 2-year technical school, or some other type of training. And we want to be transparent. We have a lot of districts going through this local accountability process, and you know what I hear from them more often than anything else? We are restoring the faith in our community and what we're doing. Again, my son-in-law was homeschooled. He's now a public school teacher, so we brought him over to the light side, you know. But in all seriousness, he was homeschooled, but he had so many opportunities here in Louisville that homeschools in East Kentucky are not going to get. Consortiums to work together. But what I'm hearing from our superintendents is when we be transparent with our community, we ask them their expectations, now there's a level of trust and transparency, and we're having more students to come back to our schools because we're working together as a team. I've got some other things in there. The last thing I'll say about local accountability is I tell teachers, I tell superintendents all the time, if you give me a local accountability model that gives you a 100 across the board, it's not worth the paper it's written on. It's not worth the website you're publishing it to, because it's about growth. How do we change and how do we move forward? That's local accountability. That's what we're striving for. We want to make sure, one, that we have the state accountability measures in place that meet federal guidelines and also helps us to identify schools that need help. But we also want to make sure that our students have a much broader, a much richer, a vibrant learning experience as they go through. So, thank you for the time, and I'll take questions.
All right, Dr. Fletcher, hold the microphone,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
Because we're gonna have a Rotary Q&A session. It's gonna last just a few minutes.
Sure.
So you're right, we do ring that bell at 1 o'clock. You know
Yes,
how
ma'am.
you're a Rotarian,
Yes,
you know how
ma'am.
that works. So we'll have our questions, they'll be stated by a Rotarian who will introduce their name. They will not give a speech, they'll not give an opinion. They will not tell us how it was when they were there. They will just ask a question, y'all. Really. And if you want to talk longer, meet with Dr. Fletcher after the meeting. All right, here we go.
Yeah, once the 1 o'clock bell rings, I will stay after if anybody likes to
And
talk.
yes, sir, thank you for that. And we do have 4 minutes worth of business right before 1 o'clock. All right, you're up. Here you go, Denise.
Okay. Denise Sears, SOS. Thank you for bringing up that project in Hopkins County. When that teacher called SOS, I'm telling you, okay, my question. So that was high school, right? We were thrilled to be part of it. There's a real movement to bringing things to the middle school, like health science, et cetera. I want your opinion on that.
Absolutely. We're a part of a national consortium that actually is looking at how do we make sure that we're bringing those career technical opportunities into the middle school setting. We're working with about 6 or 7 other states, being at the forefront, because we believe, in my opinion, you have career pathways at the high school level, but in the middle school there needs to be career exploration. So where students can kind of pick and choose and have different opportunities, and that's what we feel that should happen in middle school. But career introduction needs to happen in the elementaries. We have a lot, like for example, this sounds really odd, but we have one school district that did coloring books with all the different careers that were available in their community, and introduced that to their kindergarten students. We don't expect a kindergarten to pick their career pathway, but we want everybody to know what's possible. One of the things that we have to do in public education is teach kids to dream. So we have to expose them. We have to give them opportunities to explore. We have to inspire them. We have to challenge them. And then hope that they succeed as they go forward. But again, career exploration, a key part of what we need to do and what we are doing in public schools now.
Flip Elgin, I actually have 2 questions. One, teacher safety. I'm a lot of friends that teach, and that's an important topic. And 2, I'm appalled at the lack of knowledge of U.S. history and civics. What are we doing to bring that back into our schools?
I think that there's so many districts that are looking at through their local accountability model to do some type of civics badging, civic certifications. And then there's always, too, we're looking at joining into the NAEP, the National Report Card, if you will, on civics education. We did not take social studies out of the accountability model. As a matter of fact, it's a larger percentage now. So making sure that students have that civics background. As a matter of fact, we are working with a company to come up with a curriculum for all Kentucky schools that districts can opt into called Our Commonwealth, Our Nation, Our World, with the focus on civics, civics, government, history, geography, things of that nature. But it will be something that's published by the state. It will be designed for our state. That way students can have the opportunity to have these are the things that we expect. So civics is one. As far as teacher safety, that's another one. Anytime I'm with the legislators and I say, if we can have funding for additional measures for student safety, because that is so important. First and foremost, I used to ask people all the time, what's the most important thing? What does a parent expect when they send them to your school? They'll say, be good, get a good education. We want to make sure you have homework. I said, no, those are important. That's not the most important thing. They want you to come back home. The greatest compliment that anyone can give you is, I trust you with my child. We have to take that seriously But trusting them with our child means there has to be safety, not only for the child, but also for the teachers. There have been some bills that have been passed in the legislature. One, essentially, if you attack a teacher at any point, you're gone. You're out of buildings. And that, I can't remember which bill that was, but that was passed in the last session. There's a lot of things that have been passed throughout our government. And again, if you look at special needs, there's some caveats for special needs, and there need to be. But overall, what can we do to protect our teachers? Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. I really appreciate you coming in today. I also appreciate your passion and your expertise that you're lending to yourself to the Commonwealth. My question is this. We haven't talked about national rankings.
Mm-hmm.
How does Kentucky State factor against the rest of the country? Thank you.
Great question. When you look at, in fourth grade reading, in the national report card, we ranked 12th in the nation. Now, we're about middle of the pack in the other areas, but if you look at the growth in the state of Kentucky from 22 to 25, we have the 5th highest growth in reading in the nation. In mathematics, we have the 8th highest growth in the nation in mathematics. Now, that's brought us to the 12th overall ranking. That's brought us to around the 23rd, I think, in reading. It's not where we want to be, but it's progress. But again, when you talk about growth and what our teachers do when it comes to the science of reading, phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, comprehension, and the things that we're promoting, those are the bills that have been passed that we've promoted to make sure our students are getting those type of skills to be ready. So far, we've had some success, but we're not satisfied. We need to keep pushing.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fletcher. And I have negotiated with Larry Sloan over here. Larry is going to come up and talk to you first after the meeting. You got that? Larry's got a question for you. All right, and I have a gift for you, sir. All right, so thank you so much, Dr. Fletcher, for being here with us. And as a token of our appreciation, on behalf of all of my fellow Rotarians, I am going to present you with the official Rotary Challenge coin that has the emblem of Paul Harris and the 4-way test on the back. So, sir, I hope that you'll come back and visit us anytime. Thank you so much.
Very quickly, I know we're on time frame. The one thing that was a little bit different, I kept waiting for someone to say we did the 4-way test number 1, then all the other Rotarians said, you get trained. So Rotary trains us to wait for somebody to say number 1. When you guys started reading all the way through, I'm like, wait a minute, who's going to say number 2? Who's going to say number 3? But again.
Okay. All right. I don't know, but Rick, we may have a roving microphone for the Rotary 4-way test coming up at one of these meetings. So just be ready. I may come to your table and ask you to give us number 1 and give number 2 or number 4. So Henry, I'm just saying, be ready. One of our best darn presidents said, keep those meetings lively, do things people don't expect you to do, don't be afraid to go off script. And then Rotary International sent me an email, I'm not kidding, and they said, all our incoming presidents were expecting you to run the meetings like a game show host. And I thought, oh, my club, I don't know if they'll go for that or not. All right, fellow Rotarians, Bridget, you go ahead and talk at 892 words a minute. Okay, here we go. Bridget Johnson, CEO, New Directions Housing, fellow Rotarians, going to tell us about next week. Here you go.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you as well. I had hair 1 year ago. So this is my first year as CEO for New Directions Housing Corporation. Something had to go. Absolutely. So join us noon next Thursday, August 6th, here at the University Club to hear actors theater Emily Turquin, Interim Managing Director Amelia Powell, Artistic Director, share a front row look at one of Louisville's most treasured cultural institutions. Discover why live theater is more than entertainment and builds healthier, connected communities. And learn how to be a part of a season designed to inspire, delight, and bring us together. Please RSVP by Monday at noon or scan the QR code on the screen now registered. And definitely want to be here the following Thursday, August 13th. We will all board the Belle of Louisville. So exciting! Riverboat, and hear from Seema Sheep, who is the Senior Vice President and Regional Executive of the Louisville branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Woo! Box lunches will be provided by Kingsley Meats, and the deadline will be Friday, August 7th, instead of the normal Monday noon cutoff. Don't wait to register.
Okay, all right, that's gonna be Rocket on the River, and we are not leaving the dock. Everybody keeps asking me on August 13th, we're staying dockside. That was President Ken, former President Ken, he made that decision. I was gonna have everybody cruise. All right, so, thank you so much. Ken, you're so easy to tease. Thank you so much, Bridget. Hey, I just want to remind everybody, just remember to look on DACDB on your computer, on your phones. If you don't have it, download the app because that tells you what all kind of events and upcoming things we have going on. Tells you where all the committees are. Or go to LouisvilleRotary.org. That's ours, our very own website, y'all. It has all kind of things on it. There are so many great upcoming committee meetings. I just want to say these committee chairs and co-chairs this year, you all have just jumped in and set up all kind of meetings. As a matter of fact, Rick Harnett and Walt Kuno, the co-chairs of the Youth and Education Committee, is going to meet in about 1 minute right across the hallway in the president's room. They have 10 subcommittees. Everybody go, ooh, ah. Yes, I'm just saying. Social Activities Committee. Those people are wild. They have another Rotary Happy Hour coming up. So it's going to be on Wednesday, August 5th, 4:30 to 6 at Gravely Brewery downtown. Where is my Social Activities Committee? I see Dr. Jett. Dr. Jett, I don't know. Are you on the Social Activities Committee? No? He says you put me on another one. All right, where's Mackenzie White? Are you in the room? No, Melissa, no, they must be out. Is anybody on the Social Activities Committee? We're up. Robert, are you on the Social Activities Committee? Round of applause for Robert. Oh, wait, Cliff Elgin. Okay, thank goodness. All right, if you haven't already done it, go ahead. Follow, there you go. Thank you, Julie James. Follow us on all the social media channels. Y'all all know what they are. And then take pictures in the room. Tag us when you do that. And guess, remember, What is Rotary Table is right over here with Robert Chatham, Cliff Elgin. I see Renee Brown and Kevin Fields has joined the party. Okay, it's rocking over there. You got, we are adjourned.